Hi everyone, it's Jay Marie, and today you watch another episode of Lunch Break. And today we prepare a really interesting story for you. I hope so. It's going to be interesting, and I hope we can discuss it and discuss it with you in the comments. So don't forget and say hello to Jay. Hey Jay,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? How
I'm
was your
good.
lunch?
It was good, thank you.
You're
But
welcome.
whenever you're ready, we can just jump right into this.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm kind of excited.
Awesome. All right. So today's story is from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for insisting my husband calls our daughter by her given name? Me, a 30-year-old female, and my husband, a 35-year-old male, have been together for close to 5 years, married for two, and just had our first daughter, Hannah. I'm from Japan. My husband is European. This will be important for the story. Before Hannah was born, my husband and I had several long discussions about names. My husband was very local about wanting, my husband was very vocal about wanting to name our first daughter Lily. Said he always loved the name and always imagined a potential daughter named Lily. I like the name, but I grew up in Japan. Due to that, I'm not able to pronounce some Western sounds properly, L being one of the worst. I told my husband I feel uncomfortable about giving our daughter a name I will be unable to pronounce properly. He was disappointed. We talked about it multiple times. He suggested I could try speech therapy, which I was prickly about because I don't feel like I have a speech impediment. It's the way I was raised. Eventually, we agreed on the name Hannah, which is also a flower name, and he seemed happy enough about it. Long story short, now that all three of us are home from the hospital, I called my husband calling our daughter Lily when they're alone. He never calls her that when other people are around, only when it's just the two of them. When I confronted him about it, he laughed and said it's just a private nickname, and that a lot of people grow up being called by multiple names. I feel that he needlessly I feel that he's needlessly confusing our infant child, and more importantly, I feel like he's breaking our promise when we agreed on not calling her that. I also feel a little betrayed that he's calling her a name I'm genuinely unable to pronounce properly. Am I the asshole? Am I blowing this out of proportion, or am I in the right here? All right, Marie. So, what did you think about that?
That's actually, I understand this. um, I understand that sometimes some people can't pronounce correctly some words in English, for example, and not because they have kind of defect in, like, how do you call it? Uh, Pronunciation.
Like a speech impediment. She doesn't have
Yes.
that. She was just raised in a different
Yeah,
country and spoke
it's
a
the
different
same thing
language.
that Russian and Ukrainian suffer with the uh, specific pronunciation of the. It's complicated because we don't have it. We have really like strong pronunciation, and yeah, it's fixable. And sometimes it takes so much time, and some of them can be fixed, just can't. I think she's not the asshole. What do you think?
No, I think she has every right to be upset. First off, like they agreed, they named the daughter Hannah. Like, I understand the father being disappointed and upset, but like they already named the daughter Hannah. So like for me, it's just kind of confusing why he'd go through all that trouble just to, I guess, like change it or like do his own thing. And like it stinks. Like you probably like she said in the post, like he envisioned like naming his daughter this thing, but they both have to agree on that name. It can't just be a thing. And like morally, is it wrong? Not really. I don't think it makes him a bad person, but I do think it makes him like not considerate of his wife's feelings. And like she had a very specific reason to not call her Lily. Like
Yeah.
I have a hard time pronouncing it. Like that's a valid enough reason.
And what kind of reason could be like I don't gonna call my child as a given, like by the given name. I just gonna call how I want. I think there's something deeper why he's wanna call her Lily because its name is really special. Don't misunderstand me. But sometimes I feel like parents imagine the name of the child and they don't even know the child. You know what I mean? And sometimes people change their names just because they don't feel they're like in their name.
I wouldn't know what that's like.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I have imagined the names of my child, for example, but at the same time, what she can do, she's just like, oh, you don't want to call her Hana? Let's go call her a Japanese name that you can't pronounce, like at all, just because your mouth doesn't build for pronouncing this name. How are you gonna feel in this situation? If someone tell you like, well, go and learn how to speak, learn how to pronounce, what are you
Yeah,
gonna do in this situation? That's
that's
if you
surprisingly a very valid point. Like, okay, I imagine having my children with traditional Japanese names. Wouldn't you be frustrated if you can't pronounce it properly? Yeah, that's absolutely valid. And like maybe her doing Hannah was a compromise. Like this is what I can name our child. Like, yeah, there's nicknames and stuff, but there's a difference between like I don't know, calling your kid like pork chop or something silly versus calling them as a nickname the name that you wanted to originally give the kid. Like, and yeah, that's confusing. Like giving a kid multiple names when they're younger, like it's just weird. And like I said, I don't think it's morally bad, but I think it's a little bit of a sign of disrespect. Like, you're doing it in secret. Like
and
maybe
it's
that's
also
just
really
his way of.
confusing.
It could be like his way of coping with it. Maybe there is a deeper meaning why he wants Lily, and this is his silly way of coping with it. But like, I, I don't think the wife's offended for being an asshole. Or excuse me, I don't think the wife's an asshole for being offended. Jeez, can't say
Yeah, no,
names right, can't say sentences right. I'm sorry. It's
the
Monday.
thing is it's yeah, I think it's also really important that you confusing your child. It's the same. How do you like if everyone in the family call you different name? What is your actual name? Until you have your documents and you just like, okay, I'm adult enough to understand to read my documents and understand what's my actual name. But if the father called me one name just in between us and other family call me different name, why is that? It's confusing, and kids usually react like animals. They react on their own name, and if you call them different names, and of course you can call them whatever you want, like uh, funny names, like. But you see, the difference is like if she's Hannah and call her Han, or like call her sugar and call her honey and call her whatever and call her like Princess Liliet. Like it's like what is come from? Why? Maybe she needs to talk with the husband. Why exactly Lily? What is? Maybe it's like something special. Maybe it's his grandma or grandma or his first love. It's like questionable. Why you want that so bad?
Right.
And he was so frustrated that she's can pronounce it.
No, that's understandable.
I think it happens a lot because everyone have imagined names they want to call their child, and what your partner also have a name they want to call her like their child. So you're together now and you have a child in between both of you. So what about figure it out and find something in the middle?
Yeah, I think it's already too late when the kid's born. I think he just probably just has to get used to it. Like it can be pretty confusing, like she said, and it's confusing for her. It's confusing for the child, and I mean, ultimately, I think it's kind of disrespectful and inconsiderate. The more I think about it, because like right now he's doing it when he's probably like holding her on the rocking chair all by themselves, but then he's just gonna get so used to calling her that name, and then he's just gonna call her that name, and she might grow up to like that name and decide to go by that name, and now the mom feels left out. and she feels like, I expressed my concerns about this, you agreed to it, and you're kind of like, you're kind of going back on our agreement, and maybe I'm thinking too much into the future, but like, this is kind of a big deal. It's a kid's name, right? And if a kid wants to
Yeah.
change their own name, like, a kid can change their own name. Like I joked earlier, like, I don't go by my given name. I decided to go by Jay like years ago, and that was my choice. No one forced that on me. And like, I know growing up, like, sometimes it'll try to be forced on me. No, this is your name. You're not Jay. And it's like, then I just don't respond to that. But that's my choice I made later on in life. Like, maybe she could have compromised and did a middle name type of situation, but it doesn't seem like they did that. And I don't think it's too much to ask, like, hey, call her by the name that we agreed on and put in the paperwork. Like, it's a little too late to call her Lily.
I mean,
And
yeah,
like, to even suggest that she needs like some type of speech therapy because she doesn't fit into like this mold that you had already. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much deeply into this. But what else do they disagree on? Like, you're gonna suggest she goes to speech therapy. Like, okay, I get it. Like, you wanted to, like, if she has expressed an interest to change her accent, like, that's one thing. And like, if it's not too personal, like, you and I have discussed that in the past. You want me to sound more Eastern European, and I keep telling you no. But like, you being newer to America, you're like, I want to work on my accent. That's one thing, but you don't have to. If you can communicate well, that's one thing. Like, don't tell someone like, all right, well, fix yourself so you can call this girl what I want to call her. Like, it's a shared agreement, and honestly, man, you didn't carry the kid for 9 months. Like, she chose
that's true.
Hannah. Deal with it. Like
And
I said,
also,
they could have. Go ahead.
I like the idea that you say, like, you can give her a middle name, Lily. Why it stops you to do that? Because usually you not call your child by middle name, but if father call her by middle name, it's not that weird. The just random name he haven't had. You know what I mean?
Right, but at this point, it seems like it's a little too late because if that was the case, I'm sure the poster would have put that in there. Like, at this point, just call the child what you name the child. Like, don't do all this confusing crap, and then, like, like I said, like, it seems like it's not a big deal, like, on the surface, but it kind of is. Like, it's disrespectful to the wife. Like, you already had this agreement and this discussion. Like, deal with it. The daughter's name is Hannah. Like I
Yeah.
said, if it was like a cute nickname that was like different or like based on something, like, that's one thing. But it's an infant whose name is Hannah. That's how I feel about it. Like I said, if you guys can't agree on this like pretty major thing, like, I wonder what else they can't agree on.
Yeah. How many stuff is bothering you outside of this kind of thing? It's interesting. It's confusing, and I understand why she feels bad, but at the same time, like, because it's pretty common thing. How I understand to call your child absolutely different name. Uh, Father don't see anything weird in it. Like I said, call your child.
I don't think it's that common to call somebody something else that you didn't name them. I think it's just
Yeah.
if I think situations like this specifically happen because like they couldn't agree on a name, and like, no, I don't think it's common. I think most people will agree on a name and stick with the name given. If it's like a middle name type of situation, like, yeah, you can kind of get away with that. And I have plenty of family members that have like they get called by their middle names versus being called by their first names. Like, that's still kind of like it's not as much of a stretch as calling somebody something completely different because you like the name better.
Mhm. You have a middle name too. I don't. We don't have. It's not popular thing to call like double names.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a situation for them. She's Japanese, he's some type of European.
Yeah.
So, regardless, it's too late. The kid's name is Hannah. Deal with it.
Yeah. Done. Not an asshole.
Yeah, no, not an asshole at all.
Yeah, I like how me and you figured it out really easily. we pretty rare can be not on the same boat with opinion, but sometimes. But usually we agree, and I think it's kind of obvious. But if you, who's watching us right now, disagree with our opinion, left a comment and tell us why. We open to hear other opinions, right?
Right.
Okay, I think that's it. It's our lunch break, and thank you for watching.
Bye.
Yeah, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. Help us to grow. Bye.